The Volari were once a proud race. Their cities rose high above the ground, shining towers that touched the skies of their world. Their ships sailed across stars bold and fast. They had been strong, united and feared by many who crossed their path. But now that was only a memory. The Volari sun was collapsing. The star that had given them warmth for millions of years was now unstable, spitting firestorms and radiation into space. Once green planets in their system had turned into barren wastelands. Their oceans boiled, their soil cracked, and their skies turned red. Even worse, the Volari had not been a peaceful people. Centuries of war had divided them. When the crisis came, instead of standing together, they fought over the last resources. By the time they realized the truth, it was too late. Their fleets were broken. Their colonies were dying. Disease spread through the refugee camps that drifted in cold space. The Volari were facing extinction and no one came to help. For in their long history, they had made many enemies and very few friends. On a damaged station orbiting the last livable moon, the Volari Council gathered. They were thin and tired, their eyes dull. The chamber that once rang with the voices of proud leaders now echoed with whispers of despair. "We cannot survive much longer," said Elder Cora, her voice weak but steady. "Our food stores are nearly gone. Our ships are failing. The radiation storms grow stronger every year. If we do nothing, the Volari will vanish." A silence filled the chamber. Everyone knew it was true. "We must send the plea," another elder said at last. His name was Valen, once a commander of their greatest fleet. His armor was dented and scarred, but he wore it still, as a reminder of their lost glory. "We have no choice." "Even if no one answers, we must try, but who will hear us?" asked a younger council member. "Our enemies will laugh. They will see us weak and come to finish what the sun has not." "Then we hope," Valen said simply. And so, the Volari prepared their final message. It was not a message of pride or strength. It was a cry for help, born from desperation. Their engineers gathered what little power remained and focused their transmitters toward the deep stars. The message was simple, spoken in many tongues they had once known. "This is the Volari. Our worlds are dying. Our people are starving. We seek aid. To any who hear this, help us or let us be remembered as the last of our kind." The signal left their ruined system, carried by beams of light into the dark galaxy. It traveled for years through empty space across dead worlds and silent stars, until one day it reached a small blue planet circling an average sun. That planet was Earth. At the Deep Space Observatory in Chile, Dr. Hannah Cole was the first to notice. She had been working the night shift, sipping cold coffee, her eyes half closed from staring at the data streams. Suddenly, the monitors lit up with a strange pattern. It was not natural, not random. It was a signal. At first, she thought it was a mistake. But when she played it back, her breath caught in her throat. The message was broken and distorted by the long journey, but it was clear enough. She could hear voices, pleading voices. She could see fragments of alien symbols, the kind no human had ever written. Her hand shook as she called her supervisor. Within hours, the observatory was filled with experts. Governments were alerted. Military leaders demanded access. For the first time in human history, Earth had received a direct call from another intelligent species. The news spread quickly, faster than anyone could contain it. Across the world, people asked the same question: what do we do now? At the United Earth Assembly in Geneva, the leaders of the world met in an emergency session. The grand chamber was filled with tension. Holographic screens displayed the decoded message. The alien words echoed across the hall, "Help us or let us be remembered." President Alvarez of South America was the first to speak. "This could be a trap. For all we know, these creatures are luring us into danger. We cannot risk the safety of our planet." Prime Minister Okoye of Africa shook her head. "If it is real, if they are truly dying, can we ignore them? What does it say about us if we turn away?" General Carter of the United Defense Force leaned forward. His voice was firm. "We must be careful. But ignoring this is not an option either. If we respond, we must be prepared for anything." Dr. Hannah Cole was brought before the assembly to explain what she had seen. She stood nervously, clutching her notes. "The signal is authentic," she said. "It traveled for decades before reaching us. I believe these beings are exactly what they claim, desperate survivors. If we answer, we could be their only hope." The chamber erupted in arguments. Some shouted that Earth was not ready to deal with aliens. Others argued that this was the greatest opportunity in history. Hours turned into days, and still no decision was made. Meanwhile, the message kept repeating, a voice from across the stars begging for help. In the cities of Earth, people reacted in different ways. Some were afraid, locking their doors at night as if aliens might suddenly appear in the sky. Others were filled with wonder, staring at the stars, dreaming of meeting new friends among them. Religious leaders called it a test of humanity's spirit. Scientists saw it as proof that mankind was not alone. On social networks, debates raged. Should Earth respond? Should humans risk their safety for strangers who might be dangerous? Or should they show compassion, even to a species they had never seen? At last, the assembly reached a choice. It was Chancellor Li of Asia who stood and spoke with finality. Humanity has always wondered if we are alone. Now we know we are not. The Volari are dying. If we remain silent, we choose fear over courage. But if we answer, we show what it means to be human. The vote was taken. By a narrow margin, the assembly agreed. Earth would respond. A reply was sent, carefully worded, cautious but sincere. We hear you. We are the humans of Earth. Tell us what you need. The message was carried across the dark again, a new thread of light joining the plea of the Volari. Far away, in their ruined system, the Volari Council received the reply. At first, they did not believe it. They played it again and again, listening to the strange human voices. Their eyes widened, their hands trembled. For the first time in generations, hope filled the chamber. They heard us, Elder Cora whispered, tears in her eyes. The stars have answered. And thus began a story that would change both species forever. The human fleet cut through the silence of space, its engines glowing faintly as it moved beyond the safety of Earth's reach. Each ship carried something precious: food, medicine, water systems, machines for power, and the people who would bring them to life. Scientists, engineers, doctors, and soldiers all shared the same uncertain feeling. None knew what awaited them on the other side of the stars. From the bridge of the flagship Unity Dawn, Chancellor Li watched the endless dark stretch before them. He had spoken words of courage to the people of Earth, but here, far from home, even he felt the weight of fear pressing against his chest. Dr. Hannah Cole stood beside him, her eyes fixed on the star maps. She whispered almost to herself, "We are going farther than any human has ever gone, beyond charts, beyond everything we know." General Carter, firm as always, answered without turning his head, "And we will be ready for anything we find." His soldiers moved quietly through the halls, checking weapons, inspecting armor, though all hoped never to use them. Life aboard the fleet settled into routine. Engineers tested the relief equipment. Doctors trained with alien medicine translators. Scientists reviewed the Volari data again and again, studying their language, their biology, their culture. Every task was done with care, but beneath it all was attention, an edge that never went away. At night, in the observation domes, men and women stared at the stars. Some whispered prayers. Others dreamed of new friends. A few feared only betrayal. Dr. Hannah often visited the dome. She would stand alone, recording notes in her tablet. One evening, Chancellor Li joined her. "You do not sleep much," he said gently. She smiled faintly.
"How can I?"
"We are about to meet another intelligent species. No book, no lesson, no dream could have prepared us for this." Li nodded. "It is history, yes, but it is also risk. Do you believe the Volari will welcome us?" Hannah thought carefully before answering. "I believe they are desperate enough to try. Desperation is dangerous, but it can also open the heart." Weeks passed. The fleet crossed the gulf between stars. Finally, the Volari system came into view. On the main screen, their dying sun blazed weakly, its light uneven, its edges cracked with storms of fire. Broken planets drifted in crooked orbits. Clouds of dust swirled across space. It was a graveyard of worlds. The fleet slowed, careful and silent. Scanners reached out, reading signals, measuring radiation, searching for threats. What they found shocked even the most cautious hearts. The Volari were worse off than Earth had imagined. Derelict ships floated like skeletons, their hulls torn, their engines cold. Stations clung to orbits by failing thrusters. Refugee vessels, patched and broken, swayed in space, their lights flickering weakly. Through the haze of data, one truth became clear. These were not warriors waiting to ambush. These were survivors clinging to life. The first contact was made near a ruined moon. A Volari ship approached slowly, its engines sputtering. its hull blackened by burns. The humans held their breath as the alien vessel came closer. On the screen, the face of a Valari appeared for the first time. Their skin was pale and thin, stretched over sharp bones. Their eyes were large, dark with exhaustion, yet burning with a strange light. Elder Cora spoke, her voice translated into human tongue. "Humans of Earth, you came." Her words trembled as if she could hardly believe it. Chancellor Lee stepped forward. His voice was calm, steady. "We promise to answer. We bring food, medicine, and aid. We will do all we can." Behind her, Valari children peered curiously into the transmission. Their faces were thin, their frames weak, but their eyes widened with wonder. For the first time, they saw beings from another world. Not enemies, not conquerors, but helpers. The Valari ship guided the human fleet toward their main station, a structure barely holding together. As the ships approached, the humans saw the true extent of the tragedy. The station's hull was cracked. Its life support systems flickered. Inside, thousands of Valari crowded in dim halls, wrapped in rags, their bodies thin from hunger. Entire families huddled near broken machines for warmth. Dr. Hannah felt her chest tighten as she looked upon them. "They are worse than we feared." General Carter narrowed his eyes. "Or they want us to think so." But even he could not hide the unease in his voice. The humans docked. For the first time, two species met in person. The docking bay was silent when the airlock opened. Soldiers in armor stood behind Chancellor Lee, weapons lowered but ready. Scientists and doctors followed, carrying cases of supplies. On the other side stood Elder Cora, Commander Velan, and dozens of Valari. They bowed their heads slightly, unsure how to greet these strange visitors. Lee stepped forward and extended his hand, the human gesture of peace. After a moment of hesitation, Elder Cora raised her thin arm and touched his hand gently. It was the beginning of something neither side could fully understand. The humans unloaded crates of food, medical kits, and water systems. The Valari watched in silence at first, then with growing awe. When the first child bit into real food, tears streamed down her face. The station echoed with quiet sobs of relief. Dr. Hannah and her team rushed to the sick. They set up clean stations, distributed medicine, and treated wounds that had gone untended for years. Valari families wept as they saw their loved ones cared for by strangers. Engineers began repairing power systems. Lights flickered back to life across the station. Air filters cleared, and for the first time in months the Valari breathed clean air, but not all were quick to trust. Commander Velan kept his hand on his weapon as he watched the humans work. His voice was low as he spoke to Elder Cora. "They give freely, but no one gives without reason. What if they want to control us? What if their kindness hides a chain?" Cora shook her head gently. "Perhaps, but look around you, Velan. Our people are alive tonight because of them. Whatever their reason, they came when no one else did." Still, Velan's suspicion lingered. He had seen too much war to believe in simple kindness. Days turned into weeks. The humans and Valari worked side by side. Soldiers shared food with alien children. Doctors treated wounds while learning about Valari biology. Engineers built new shelters, teaching Valari how to maintain them. Slowly, a bond began to grow. The Valari could not understand why humans asked for nothing. They whispered to one another, wondering what hidden cost would come. But as time passed, the truth became harder to deny. The humans were not conquerors. They were helpers. One evening, Elder Cora gathered the council. She spoke with a voice filled with emotion. "For generations we believed mercy was weakness. Yet these humans show us mercy and it saves us. Perhaps we must learn that mercy can also be strength." Her words left the council silent. For the first time, they began to wonder if humanity was different from every race they had known before. Back on Earth, the world watched. Reports flowed in, showing images of Valari children smiling, of stations glowing with new light, of alien families living again with hope. The people of Earth felt pride not in power but in kindness. But shadows still lingered. Not every Valari trusted the humans, and not every human believed this mission was safe. General Carter remained on guard, his soldiers alert. "Hope is fine," he told Lee quietly one night. "But hope without caution is a mistake. I have seen peace turn to war too quickly." Lee nodded. "And yet, if we do not take this chance, We may never know what we could have built together. As the fleet prepared to extend aid to other Valari outposts, both sides understood one thing clearly. This was no longer just survival. It was the beginning of a new relationship, one that could reshape the future of two species. But the question remained, would trust grow, or would suspicion tear it apart? The reply from Earth traveled through endless space, riding on beams of light. When it reached the ruined station of the Valari, it was like rain falling on desert sand. The Council listened again and again, unable to believe that another world had answered them. For years, their desperate call had gone into silence. Now someone had heard. Someone had cared. But on Earth, the real struggle was only beginning. In Geneva, the United Earth Assembly gathered once again. The chamber was filled with leaders from every continent, as well as scientists, generals, and advisors. The decoded Valari message and Earth's first reply had already shaken the world. Now they had to decide what came next. The Valari had answered quickly after receiving the human message. Their voices were broken, tired, but filled with hope. We need food. We need medicine. Our ships are broken. Our children are dying. We have no strength left. If you can help us, please. The chamber fell silent after the translation. The words were simple, direct. No threats, no demands. Just pleading. President Alvarez leaned forward, his eyes sharp. We must not forget. We know nothing about these beings. This could still be a trick. Prime Minister Okoye shook her head slowly. I have listened to their words again and again. They do not sound like conquerors. They sound like people who are drowning. Can you look away when someone is drowning? General Carter raised his voice. Compassion is noble, but we are responsible for the safety of Earth. If we send ships, we expose ourselves. What if they attack? What if they lead us into a trap? We cannot gamble with humanity's survival. The assembly erupted into arguments. Some spoke of fear, others of hope. Many could not decide which voice to trust. Meanwhile, scientists presented their findings. Dr. Hannah Cole stood before the council with a calm but urgent tone. The Valari system is real. Our telescopes confirm their star is unstable. Their worlds are scarred. We see no fleets, no weapons, no power strong enough to threaten us. I believe their story is true. If we do not help, they will vanish within decades. Professor Malik, an expert in xenolinguistics, added, their language is complex, but the core of their message is clear. They are begging, not commanding. We must judge them by what we hear, not by our fears. Still, many leaders hesitated. Ambassador Richter of Europe asked, if we do help, what then? Do we take responsibility for an alien race? Do we bring them here? Do we send aid across half the galaxy? This is not only science, it is politics, economy, and security. The choice we make will shape the future of humanity. Outside the chambers, the people of Earth followed every word with breathless attention. News networks broadcast live debates. Streets were filled with protests and rallies. Some held signs that read, "Help the Valari, show the universe we care." Others shouted, "Earth first, protect our home." In schools, children asked their teachers about the aliens. In factories, workers argued over lunch breaks. In temples and churches, prayers were spoken for the strangers in the stars. Humanity was divided yet united in one thing. They could not ignore what had happened. Back in the assembly, the pressure grew. Chancellor Lee stood. His voice was calm but strong. History will remember this moment. We can choose to hide, to close our doors, to let fear rule us. Or we can step forward, not as separate nations, but as one world. If we turn away from the Valari, we lose not only them, but a part of our own humanity. The chamber grew quiet. Even those who opposed helping felt the weight of his words. General Carter broke the silence. If we do this, we must do it wisely. No blind leaps. No weakness. A mission can be sent, but it must be ready for danger. We must protect our people even as we reach out a hand. Slowly, heads nodded. The vote began. One by one, the leaders gave their choice. Yes. No. Yes. Yes. No. The tally rose on the holographic screen, each mark a decision that would echo across centuries. When the final vote was cast, the result was clear. By a narrow margin, the assembly had chosen to help. The chamber erupted with mixed emotions. Some cheered. Some groaned in frustration. But the decision was made. Earth would respond not only with words but with action. The plan took shape quickly. A fleet would be prepared made of relief ships filled with supplies, medical equipment, food, and water systems. Engineers would go to repair alien ships and build shelters. Doctors would travel to heal the sick. Alongside them, soldiers would escort the mission, armed not for conquest but for defense. Humanity would stretch out its hand, cautious but open. Dr. Hannah Cole was chosen as one of the lead scientists of the mission. She felt both excitement and fear. For years she had studied stars, searching for signs of life. Now she would meet that life face to face. General Carter was placed in command of security. His jaw was tight as he reviewed plans. He trusted no alien promise, but he would not let his people be harmed. Chancellor Lee, who had spoken for unity, would represent Earth's leadership, carrying the voice of the assembly to the Volari. Before the ships even launched, the Volari sent another message. Their voices cracked with emotion. "We never believed anyone would answer. You are not like the others. We thank you. We thank you." On the ruined station, Elder Cora listened to the reply. Her hands trembled as she whispered, "They are coming. The humans are coming." Commander Valon, once hardened by war, felt something he had not known for years. Hope. Perhaps the stars have not turned their backs on us after all. On Earth, the mission became a global event. Children drew pictures of alien friends. Artists painted stars filled with two races holding hands. News anchors spoke of a new chapter of humanity. Yet in the dark corners of power, not everyone was pleased. Some whispered that humanity was walking into danger. Others worried about resources, politics, and the balance of power in the galaxy. Fear and doubt remained even as preparations moved forward. The day of launch came. At the great spaceport orbiting the moon, the relief fleet stood ready. Massive ships gleamed in the light of Earth's sun, their hulls marked not with flags of nations but with the emblem of Earth United. Crowds gathered across the planet watching the broadcast. Families held each other. Strangers stood side by side gazing upward. Humanity was not sending weapons, not sending conquerors, but sending hope into the stars. Chancellor Lee spoke to the world. "Today we step beyond fear. Today we answer a cry that could not be ignored. We go not as rulers, not as saviors, but as humans, willing to help, willing to learn. Let this be the beginning of a story greater than ourselves." The countdown began. Engines roared. Light filled the sky. The fleet lifted, rising higher and higher until it vanished into the black. On the Volari station, their people watched the stars, waiting. They did not know if the humans would truly come. They did not know if this would save them. But for the first time in 1,000 years, the Volari did not feel alone. And deep in their hearts, the humans and Volari both knew, whatever came next, the galaxy would never be the same again. The Volari station had begun to change. Where once there were only shadows and broken walls, now there was light, movement, and hope. Humans and Volari worked together side by side, each day proving that compassion could accomplish what weapons never could. Dr. Hannah Cole walked through a corridor filled with the soft hum of machinery and quiet voices. She carried a tray of medicines to a Volari child whose legs were weak from months of starvation. The child looked up at her, eyes wide, and Hannah felt a warmth in her chest she could not explain. For the first time in her life, she was touching a life so different from her own and seeing the joy of survival. "Thank you," whispered the child in their language. But Hannah understood. Words were not needed. Outside, engineers were repairing the station's power grid. Volari engineers, who had watched decades of systems fail without hope, now learned from humans how to create sustainable energy sources. They marveled as lights came back on, as water purification systems began working again, and as heating units kept the station warm. One Volari engineer, Tyrin, had tears in her eyes. "We never thought this was possible," she said. "We thought we were too weak, too broken, but now we have a future again." An older human engineer, Miguel Santos, patted her shoulder. "You already had the knowledge," he said. "We just reminded you it can work." The Volari children became a source of joy and curiosity. They followed humans everywhere, asking endless questions about life on Earth, the stars, and the machines that now worked in their home. Soldiers who had once trained only for combat found themselves teaching games, playing with small alien hands that were soft and curious. General Carter watched one small Volari boy try to lift a human helmet that was far too large. The child laughed when it fell over his eyes, and even Carter found himself smiling. Maybe war isn't the only way to teach strength, he said quietly. But humanity's gift was not only in food, medicine, or tools. It was in something deeper, something Valari had never known. Trust without expectation. Elder Cora observed the humans as they moved through the station. They asked nothing in return. They did not demand obedience. They did not try to take control. Instead, they gave freely. She called Commander Vaylon over. "Do you see this?" she asked. "They give without asking. It is extraordinary. Our people have never seen such mercy." Vaylon's hands tightened over his belt. "Mercy has always been seen as weakness," he said. "Yet look at the strength it brings them. Perhaps we have judged the universe wrong all along." For the first time, he began to question what he had believed for centuries. Doctors moved from corridor to corridor, teaching Valari how to care for the sick using both human and Valari techniques. Human medicines mixed with alien treatments brought rapid results. Illnesses that had once been fatal began to fade. The sick smiled again. The weak grew stronger. In one corner of the station, Dr. Hannah Cole taught a group of Valari nurses how to use Earth's equipment. One young nurse, Lyra, hesitated, unsure if she could do it correctly. Hannah held her hand. "You can," she said simply. "You already know more than you think. We are just helping your hands remember." When Lyra successfully administered medicine to a patient, her eyes sparkled with pride. I did it," she whispered. Hannah nodded. "Yes, you did. And you can do it again." Outside the station, human engineers began repairing ships. Derelict Valari ships were restored to working order. As engines hummed and lights flickered back on, the Valari realized that they might leave their dying system someday, not as refugees, but as explorers once more. Elder Cora walked through the hangar with Chancellor Lee. She could not hide her astonishment. "Your people, you do this without question. You rebuild, you heal, and you teach. You do not ask for anything in return," Lee smiled gently. "We ask nothing because we believe in the value of life. Every species deserves a chance. Every life deserves respect." Cora's eyes filled with tears. "I never imagined such a thing existed in the universe. Perhaps we can learn from you not only to survive but to live with honor." Even Commander Vaylon began to change. He watched the humans training Valari soldiers in self-defense, not for war but for protection. They taught them not to strike first, but to understand, to defend, and to protect life. Vaylon found himself inspired. He had once thought that power came only from conquest, from fear. But now he saw that true strength could be shown in protection, in mercy, and in patience. As weeks passed, small but significant changes spread across the station. The air smelled cleaner. Food was plentiful. Lights glowed warmly in every hall. The Valari children laughed. Families gathered for the first time in years without fear. One evening, the humans organized a small celebration. A space had been cleared, lights strung across the ceiling, music softly playing through the speakers. The Valari had never known music like this, gentle, melodic, and full of life. They gathered, shy at first, then slowly, curiosity and joy overcame fear. Elder Cora stood to speak, her voice shaking with emotion. "We have seen wonders this world could not have imagined. We were broken, scattered, and lost. Yet the humans came. They gave us hope, they gave us life, and they gave us the courage to believe in ourselves again." The Valari murmured, and a few wept openly. Humans nodded quietly, their hearts full. No one spoke of conquest. No one spoke of power, only of life. Dr. Hannah Cole walked among the Valari children, helping them learn words in Earth's language. One small girl, Tira, asked, "Will you stay with us?" Hannah smiled. "We will stay as long as you need us. We came to help, not to leave." The child's eyes widened. You do not ask anything in return?" "Nothing," Hannah said softly. "We only want to see you safe and happy." Tira hugged Hannah tightly, and Hannah felt a warmth she had never experienced before. It was the joy of true connection, one that needed no words, no payment, no reward. Slowly, trust spread among the Valari people. Even the once skeptical commander, Vaylon, saw the humans as allies, not strangers. He walked to Elder Cora and said quietly, "Perhaps we have been wrong about the universe. Perhaps strength is not always in the sword but in the heart." Cora nodded, tears in her eyes. "We are learning from them, Vaylon. And perhaps, one day we will teach this to others too." As the days turned into weeks, the humans prepared to extend aid to other Valari outposts. Word of their arrival had spread. Hope, once almost forgotten, began to take root. For the Valari, the humans were no longer just strangers from the stars. They were teachers, friends, and guardians. They were proof that life could exist beyond selfish ambition. They showed that kindness could change the course of history. On Earth, the people followed the mission closely. They did not see battles, victories, or conquests. Instead, they saw the power of giving, the impact of mercy, and the courage it took to reach across the darkness of space to save another civilization. And deep in the hearts of both species, a truth grew stronger every day: that the universe could be shaped not by fear, but by the gifts of compassion, courage, and understanding. The Valari had received many things from the humans: food, medicine, and machines. But above all, they had received something they had never known: hope. Hope for life. Hope for learning. Hope for a future that they had once believed impossible. And with each passing day, that hope grew stronger, filling the halls, lighting the eyes of children, and strengthening the hearts of every Valari who had once been ready to give up. Humanity's gift was not only survival, it was a reminder that even in the darkest corners of space, mercy and courage could shine brighter than the stars themselves. The Valari had survived. Their stations no longer floated in silence. Life returned to the halls. Their children laughed, and the once dying refugees now had hope for a future. But survival was only the beginning. Humanity's gift had done more than preserve life. It had reshaped hearts, minds, and beliefs. Elder Cora walked through the main station, observing the people around her. Engineers worked calmly, repairing hulls. Children played with human companions, their laughter echoing through the corridors. Doctors moved from patient to patient, treating injuries and illnesses with care. She paused to watch a small boy share his food with a human soldier. The gesture, simple yet profound, brought tears to her eyes. "They teach us more than machines," she whispered to Commander Valen. "They teach us how to be better." Valen nodded slowly. For the first time in decades, he felt a spark of genuine optimism. Humanity had come into their lives not with weapons or commands, but with wisdom, patience, and mercy. "I never believed kindness could be so powerful," he admitted. Meanwhile, the human team continued their work, not seeking recognition, but focusing on the growing trust and cooperation. Dr. Hannah Cole spent her days teaching Valari children to read, introducing them to human science and learning about Valari history. Each lesson built connections. Each shared story strengthened the bridge between species. One evening, she sat with Tira, the little girl she had helped weeks before. The child's eyes were bright, full of questions about stars, planets, and humans. "Will you stay?" Tira asked again, a hint of worry in her voice. Hannah smiled. "We will always be here when you need us, but soon you will be able to take care of yourselves too. That is the greatest gift we can give." Tira nodded, understanding more than her age could explain. The child's trust mirrored the growing confidence of her entire people. Humanity's influence spread quickly. With guidance, the Valari repaired and upgraded their ships. Power systems that had once been failing now ran efficiently. Water and food supplies became steady and reliable. Hospitals, once crowded and overwhelmed, were organized and functional. Across the system, scattered Valari outposts received aid. Human ships moved between them, teaching skills, delivering resources, and sharing knowledge. Each community that had been on the brink of collapse began to thrive. Where despair had reigned, now hope reigned. Even Valari, who had doubted the humans' intentions, began to change. Commander Valen, once suspicious of every action, now spoke highly of the humans to the council. "They came without expectation. They give freely, and yet we feel stronger for it. Perhaps this is the measure of true power," Elder Cora agreed. "Strength is not in conquest or fear. It is in lifting others when they cannot stand." In the months that followed, a special event took place. The Valari Council decided to broadcast a message across their system and to the far reaches of space. It was not a plea, but a statement, a recognition of humanity's role in their survival. Chancellor Lee, standing with Elder Cora and Commander Valen, watched as the broadcast began. The camera captured the faces of Valari, once weak and scared, now filled with pride and life. The message was simple. To all who hear this, the humans came to us when no one else would. They asked nothing and gave us life, hope, and knowledge. We are grateful beyond words. Let the galaxy know that humanity is a force defined not by war, but by courage and mercy. Across distant stars, other civilizations listened. Many were stunned. The human race, long thought to be young and minor, was now being praised by an intelligent species not for conquest, not for wealth, but for generosity. On Earth, news of the Valari broadcast reached every corner. People cheered, cried, and celebrated. Humanity had shown the universe a new kind of strength. The mission, once controversial, was now seen as a historic achievement. Dr. Hannah Cole watched the transmission in the observatory, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. "We did not take lives," she said softly. "We gave them, and in doing so, we changed history." General Carter, standing nearby, nodded. "War is not the only path to greatness," he said. "We have proved that courage combined with mercy can accomplish what armies cannot." Chancellor Lee addressed the people of Earth in a special broadcast. "This is the story of humanity at its best. We faced fear, uncertainty, and the unknown, and still chose to act with compassion. Let this guide us in all that we do on our planet and beyond." Back in the Valari system, the people celebrated quietly but profoundly. Children ran freely, laughter spilling into corridors. Families shared meals, no longer afraid of famine. Scientists and engineers worked alongside humans, learning and improving their own world. Balin stood on the main deck of the largest Valari ship, looking out at the fleet of restored vessels. "We have been given a second chance," he said. "Not because we were strong, but because someone believed in life itself. Humanity has changed the way we see ourselves." Elder Cora placed a hand on his shoulder, "And perhaps it will change the way others see us too. We are no longer only survivors. We are witnesses to a kindness greater than any weapon." The humans, meanwhile, prepared to leave the system, their mission complete. But before they departed, the Valari held a ceremony. They offered gifts, not as payment, but as thanks. A collection of Valari art, symbols, and personal tokens. Every human received something meaningful, a reminder that their actions had touched lives deeply. Hannah Cole received a small crystal that glowed softly, reflecting the light of the station. Elder Cora explained, "This is our way of showing gratitude. Just as you have given us light in our darkness, this crystal carries the memory of hope." Lee accepted a carved emblem of a Valari starship. "We will treasure it," he said. "Not for what it is, but for what it represents, the bond between our species." Even Valon, still cautious by nature, gave a nod of respect. "We will never forget what you have done. Humanity has proven that the universe is not only vast but full of choices. You chose mercy." As the human fleet departed, the Valari waved, tears in their eyes. Children ran along the corridors of their ships calling goodbyes. Engineers waved tools. Doctors clasped hands. The bond forged in hardship had become real and lasting. In space, the humans looked back at the Valari system. What had once been a place of despair now glowed with life, activity, and hope. Humanity had not conquered, not claimed, not demanded. They had simply given, and in giving they had left a mark that would echo across the galaxy. On Earth, the people rejoiced. Across cities, towns, and villages, celebrations erupted. Humanity had shown its best face to the stars. The mission proved that courage and kindness could be stronger than fear and suspicion. Schools taught the story. Artists painted it. Songs and literature praised the gift of life and hope given freely. Leaders spoke not of politics, but of humanity's potential. Every citizen felt a sense of pride that did not come from domination or victory in war, but from the strength of mercy and unity. Years later, the Valari sent a new message to Earth. Their voices, now confident and strong, spoke not as beggars but as allies. "Humans, you came to us when we were near the end. You did not ask for tribute. You did not demand service. You gave freely. And in doing so, you showed what it means to be great. We will never forget your gift, nor the courage it took to reach across the stars. Humanity is not only strong, humanity is noble." Across Earth, people listened in awe. They had not fired a single weapon. They had not conquered. Yet the universe now saw humanity as a force defined by hope, courage, and compassion. On the Valari stations, Elder Cora spoke to her people. "Let this be a lesson. Strength is not only in survival but in the mercy and courage we show others. Humanity has taught us that life, when cherished and protected, can shine brighter than any star." Commander Valon nodded, finally at peace. We will carry this lesson forward. We will honor it, and we will teach it to future generations. Even the smallest Valari child, laughing with a human companion, embodied the new bond. Hope had returned. The galaxy had witnessed a new kind of power, one that came not from fear but from the simple act of giving. As humanity's fleet returned to Earth, their mission complete, they did not carry spoils or trophies. They carried something far greater, proof that courage, compassion, and mercy could shape the course of history. And somewhere in the stars, the Valari looked up at the sky, speechless and grateful. They had been saved, yes, but more than that, they had been shown that life could be greater than survival. Life could be noble. Life could be shared. The galaxy had changed. And humanity, without firing a single shot, had become a legend,